If you ever feel out of whack, it's because you're out of balance with your higher power, or I was thinking creator, with your emotions. Like you're trying to be too controlling of the situation. Like say you find yourself getting anxiety and there's nothing really in your reality that warrants anxiety. Like everything, if you step into yourself, like ground yourself and step into your body, you'll realize everything, the world is just going on. Like, not to say people aren't worried about you, but it's almost like you get into this feeling of like hypervigilance, or like being super on alert of everything around you. And that's just indicating to you that you want to be too in control of your, like you're living too much in ego, living too much in like your experience, rather than letting a higher power or creator or God, even though that is yourself, like yourself, letting your higher self lead you, basically. This also goes into being in connection, like in community, in relationships with people who you can trust. So like if you get around certain people or certain environments and certain places and you feel like it's just sucking the happiness out of your body, like you get irritated, you get anxious, you get nervous, it's probably because there's a, I don't want to keep saying imbalance, but it really is an imbalance of energies. Like your energy and those people's energy are on such different frequencies that when you get around them, it's either that your vibration has to lower to match theirs, or their vibration needs to raise to match yours. It's ideal to say, don't let people get you out of your vibration. Like don't let people who are feeling down or negative, or like having a negative attitude or negative remarks, or just, Debbie Downers, don't let them impact the way you feel about yourself or the way you feel about the environment. That obviously takes practice. But I feel like it is something that myself, as well as whatever collective I'm reading for right now, needs to work on. Like, even in an instance, like I'm seeing like a building or like a car being on fire, like even in the midst of everything around you being on fire, you should still be so secure within yourself where it just doesn't bother you. Like, it's like those people where it's like everything could be going wrong and they're just so happy. Or like the saying, God doesn't give you more than you can bear, is what I'm thinking of. Like, if you weren't able to handle it, you would not be put in that predicament at all. Like, if you were not able to learn something from it, grow from it, if you were not able to benefit from the situation, you would not be put in the situation. And the lesson, not to say lesson, because I feel like some people use the word lesson as like a it's like a karmic type of thing. But I mean, like, whatever you had to learn from this experience, it might not have even been immediate, but it's still something that eventually you'll be like, oh, this is why that happened. Or like, oh, this is why I went through this, so I could be prepared for this later thing. If you have been on your spiritual journey and you're experiencing, like I was saying, it's sort of like the universe or yourself, your higher self, is letting you, or not necessarily making you, but letting you experience these things, and it's sort of an exchange for knowledge. Like, it's an exchange for the human experience. It's an exchange for getting to know yourself, knowing what you like, knowing what you don't like. And a lot of times we as people, we create life based on what we don't want. If you ask somebody what they want, they're going to be like, well, I don't want this. Or they just explain it in a way where it's like sort of like they're using double negatives. But because we have to create an experience, no matter if it's like outright and specific, because most of the time we live through contrast. It's like everything that you have been going through, what I'm trying to say is preparing you for a new life. It's preparing you for experiences that are a lot different than what you have experienced prior. And what the universe is wanting you to do right now, by the universe I mean yourself, what your higher self is wanting you to do right now is to continue like the journey through this thing. Keep going the distance. So let's say, for example, you're going through a mud pit, right? And you're halfway through the mud pit. They don't want you to stop and turn back around to get out of the mud. Just keep going through it because you're already halfway there. What's going halfway forward? Like, what's going halfway back if you can go halfway forward? You might as well just keep going forward through the mud. and then eventually you get out of it. And not to mention going sideways, depending on the area of the circumference. But it's just keep going the distance through it, because eventually you get to where you ultimately want to and or envision yourself being.